So hello and welcome to yet another Editor G hands-on review. This time we've got the OnePlus Band. Now yes, we were all expecting OnePlus to launch a proper full-fledged smartwatch pretty soon, but this is what we've got for now, the OnePlus Band. It is very similar to what we've seen Oppo launch before, and a lot of reviewers and a lot of outlets have been saying that this is basically a rebranded Oppo Band, and to some extent that is true, but again, this does come with OnePlus branding. You can see it right there on the front, the OnePlus logo right there. But apart from that, it does get a lot of other features as well. And today we're going to discuss everything that this band gets and offers at its price point of 2,499 rupees. Okay, so right off the bat, let's get into what the design is like. Now this band here, it's rubber silicone, sort of mix of those two materials. It's quite pliable, it's quite flexible, and it's quite comfortable on the wrist. It's got these nice indentations, lines, which give it a really nice design. Sets it apart from other plain black silicone straps, and it basically loops into this like so, and then you just click it into place at whatever your preference is for the wrist size. Now if you take a look at this, it's not exactly old school, but it is something we've seen before from other brands, including Xiaomi. This is a pill-shaped design. So this basically pops out of the band, and this is essentially the fitness band. The brains of the operations is right here. Now on the back, you'll see these three sensors. These two dots right here are for the charging, and it's not a magnetic charger. I'll show you the charger in a bit, but it's not magnetic. You really have to push this into the charging slot or charging portal, I should say, that comes with this device, but we'll get into that later. Apart from this, there's no real button. Those aren't actually buttons. They look like buttons, but they're not buttons. They are basically what help tether the pill into the band itself at those 4 points. Now anyway, this is the pill, and it comes with this really nice screen. It's actually quite bright. On camera, I don't know if it's being able to show it as really bright, but it can get fairly bright, and you can adjust the brightness levels also. It comes with touch gestures, so you can scroll through all the different apps and settings that this has, and you can basically touch to find out quick settings as well, things like Bluetooth, DND, and the battery level. So quick access to functions is right there as well. You can now, on every screen, basically on the main screen, if you swipe, you'll change through the watch faces. And if let's say you're in an app or in anything, just swipe towards the right and it'll take you back. So the gesture controls are really simple to understand. They're not hard at all. So for anyone buying this as their first fitness device, it's an absolutely easy operation device to go for. Now let me keep this aside for a second and just show you what all you get in the box. This is obviously not an unboxing because I've already used the device, but I'll still show you what you get. So this is the box that comes with it. Opens right here. In fact, here you can see all the different functions that this offers. Blood oxygen monitoring, like I said, sleep tracking, 24/7 heart rate tracking, 13 exercise modes, a sport band design, a 1.1-inch AMOLED touch display, up to 14 days of battery. Now that will also vary on your usage and what functions you keep on 24/7 or not. That's something I'll get into in a bit. And it also has 5ATM with IP68 waterproof rating. So that means this is absolutely fine for rainy workouts, and it's also fine for things like splashes, and it's fine for swimming as well. So basically, if you need to use this as your daily lifestyle device, you're absolutely set, no problem. Now for the box. Now here you get this little cubby for paperwork. So you got your user guide, safety and warranty, and your red cable club membership card. No stickers here. Would have been a nice touch, but again, very aggressively priced device, so not really expecting much. Here is the charger I was talking about. This is the charger. It comes with this really short cable. I really wish this cable had been slightly longer because it would have made charging this device much easier. But then again, since this does have a pretty long battery life, you won't really be that inconvenienced because you'll only be charging it once every few weeks. So that's not going to be a huge problem for you anyway. Now, this is how you attach it to the charger. You line up these two dots here and here. Then you just click that into place, and that's it. Now it's ready to charge. All you need to do is find either a USB port like on a laptop or a computer, or a charging adapter, and then you can plug it in and charge it up. Now to take it out, you basically got to just lift it out of place. I wish it did come with a magnetic option for the charging case, but that's okay. This is technically an Oppo rebrand, so that's something that can be easily forgiven, especially considering that this is not a OnePlus device the way OnePlus usually does their devices. And that's okay, because essentially this is just OnePlus expanding its wide variety of products, its portfolio. It's just expanding it and adding as many products as it can to let people get into the ecosystem at all different price levels and at all different variety of products, I should say, as well. So that's a good thing. Apart from this, you get nothing in the box. The box is pretty empty. There's nothing here, just silica gel. So we can just keep that aside, get the box back in frame, and let's get back to what the watch offers. Let me just stuff this back in. There you go. It just pops into place, no problem whatsoever. Now the important thing to note is that there's no screen protector or anything here, because it is still a fairly small screen. So it is prone to scratches. If you're someone who keeps knocking their wrist into different, whether it's doors or walls or whatever, then you might want to either choose a different sort of device or get some sort of protection for the screen, because otherwise you're going to end up scratching it quite easily or denting it as well. Now let's just quickly go through everything you get here. These are the first few watch faces that you get pre-installed. You don't need to configure these through the app, they're already there, and this basically is an early indicator of how many watch faces you can get on the device, because it's limited to 5 at a time. You can enable more watch faces from the partner app, but then again you'll have to remove one of these 5 watch faces in order to make room for others. So that's something that could be expanded upon in the next version of the OnePlus Band, I guess, but for now this is how it is. Now, based on what watch face you are using, you'll get a decent amount of information. For example, something like this mostly only shows the time. This, however, shows your activity as well. And so does this. This does it in a more stylized format, but this does it in a very Apple Watch-ish format. So it'll show you things like your step tracking, your stand time, like the Apple Watch does as well, and other things like your calories burnt or the amount of exercise you've done throughout a day. Okay, so let's get to the first thing, which is daily activity. Now here it shows you your steps, calories, workout time, and activity score, I think that is. So essentially it'll tell you all this quick information right here. Apart from this, you get workouts. So here you can basically pick from 13 different exercise modes that are there available, including things like swimming and cricket. So if you're someone who really likes playing sports and likes to keep a track of how many calories and how much workout you're getting in while playing those sports, you can totally do that, not an issue at all. Now another thing, if you see this GPS logo here, that means that it's looking for GPS via the smartphone, because once again this does not have GPS built in. It requires the partner phone to be there at hand in order for it to obtain GPS data and then offer that to the user. Now I like the fact that even in this sort of basic setup, you get quite a lot of customization for workouts. For example, you can set how much distance you want your workout to be, so that the watch will alert you when you're done with your set distance or calories or duration. So that's actually a really nice feature. So you can just press go and immediately it'll start tracking your calories burnt, and then it'll tell you when you're done with your goal. It'll just buzz you and tell you, you know what, you're done, you can stop now. So that's a really nice feature in my opinion. Apart from workouts, you get this, which is the heart rate monitor, like I showed you at the back before. Now this will measure your heart rate. Now of course it can't measure mine since I'm not wearing it, so let me just put it on really quickly. So it will tell you to wear the band tightly if it thinks that it's not getting an accurate reading. So that is actually a pretty nifty feature. Then you can restart it and then it'll start taking your measurement. Now on the measurement front, I will say this, compared to the Apple Watch, it seems to be fairly consistent and it gives you a fairly accurate reading as compared to the Apple Watch, which is somewhat the industry standard for smart watches, at least, or consumer smart watches, when it comes to things like tracking fitness goals. So the fact that it is within a margin of error of around 3 to 4 beats per minute of the Apple Watch, that I think is very promising for the OnePlus Band. Now, the important thing is not only will it tell you your current heart rate, it'll also give you a resting heart rate. So it is tracking things like that, especially if you turn on 24/7 heart rate tracking, because this does have that option available. Now, do remember that that will eat into your battery life, and that's what I was saying before. OnePlus does claim up to 14 days of battery life, but if you do use 24/7 heart rate tracking and sleep monitoring and other things like that, and interval SpO2 blood oxygen monitoring, do remember that you will eat into that 14-day battery life pretty quickly, but still, it's not enough to conk it off in just like a couple of days. It will take at least 4 to 5 days for the OnePlus Band to completely drain itself, even with everything turned on. Now, apart from heart rate, there is SpO2 level monitoring. Now, I'm just going to let this take it on my finger, since that's also something SpO2 monitors can do. So the SpO2 monitoring, I wasn't able to test it with an oximeter, but it does seem to be pretty accurate. It hasn't given me any 100% readings yet, which is promising because that's something that an SpO2 monitor should, a faulty SpO2 monitor will do very easily. This does not. This actually seems to give you pretty accurate results on the nose every time. Every time I've done the test, it's given me somewhere around 97 to 98%, and it even monitors your SpO2 levels when you're asleep. So if that's something you're aware of and you want to track it while you're asleep, you can totally do that with the OnePlus Band. Now, like I said, apart from SpO2 and heart rate monitoring, you can also track sleep. So if you do wear it at night, go to sleep, there's automatic sleep tracking. So it can automatically detect when you've fallen asleep and then record your quality of sleep and then offer it to you in the morning. When you wake up, you can see it on the OnePlus Health app and see how well you've slept or how badly you've slept and what you can do to even improve your quality of sleep in case you've not slept very well. Apart from sleep, we see this called the breathe function. This is something that a lot of different manufacturers for fitness bands and smartwatches offer, including the likes of Realme and Apple. And this is basically to help you calm down. This is to help center you in the middle of the day. If you're feeling particularly stressed out, then just sit in a corner with this breathe app and just have some guided breathing and sort of light meditation just to help lower your heart rate and feel a little better. There's also the weather app, which offers you some important weather data right here, right up front. And then you also have things like tools. So things like being able to control music, having a stopwatch and timer on hand, an alarm, and you can also use the camera tool to essentially use this OnePlus Band as a shutter, remote shutter for your partner smartphone that you've connected it to. And you can also press this button to search for the phone. You just press it and the phone will start ringing. Then in the settings, we can take a look at everything that's on offer. There's the D&D mode, so you can set it on, off, or smart, depending on when it thinks you go to sleep. It will turn it off or turn on or off when it detects that you've gone to bed. So that is a pretty nifty function. But for now, I'm just going to keep it off. Then there's the brightness levels. Right now, I've got it set to around 80%. For outdoor usage, I would recommend 100%. And since this does have a pretty decent battery life, since the screen isn't all that large, you'll get a decent amount of battery life even with 100% brightness. But I keep it on 80% because that seems to work well for me. You can also change the display time, which is basically how long the display stays turned on. And then you also have the vibration. Now the vibration is kind of buzzy. In fact, if you hear it, I'm just going to give you an audio clip for it. Now, if you hear the strong one, it sounds quite buzzy and it's not very appealing. So I'd recommend you just leave it on weak. At least for me, that turned out to do the job well because it is stuck to my wrist pretty tight. So even on weak vibration, it lets me know when there's a notification or an alarm coming in. Apart from this, you also have an option to reset the device, an option to shut down, reboot, and then you get information about the band, about its Bluetooth address, etc. And you get regulatory information as well. Apart from this, you can also check your notifications, which is very, very handy. But again, this being a very small form factor, you can't really see much of what the notifications are. You can't see a lot of the text, and you'll constantly see when notifications come in, text will have to continue scrolling on the screen for you to be able to read anything whatsoever. So It's not great, but for letting you know whether there's a call coming in or who's calling, for that purpose, it's actually very, very good. Now, before we wind up, let me give you a quick look at the OnePlus Health app. And you can see all your daily activity and everything that the watch actually tracks right here, including things like steps. And the step tracking is quite accurate. I checked it manually and tried to compare how many steps I took versus how many this recorded, and it was within a margin of error, around 5 to 10 steps, plus minus. It was almost spot on every time. Now, things like daily activity, it'll come right here. Workout time, calories, activity sessions, everything is right here. The heart rate monitoring, I've got it set to 24/7, so it's constantly telling me what my heart rate is, and it'll give me a chart of how it's been and how it is right now. And based on this, it can also tell me what my resting heart rate is, what the highest has been, and what the lowest has been as well. Apart from this, there is sleep tracking, which I think is a very good feature at this price point. For 2,500, if you can start getting the sleep tracking and learning how you're sleeping and how well you're sleeping, that I think is a really good move. Now, the sleep assessment is something that people have seen is hit and miss. At least early reviews have shown that the sleep assessment feature hasn't been the most accurate. For me, it was honestly quite on par with what results I got from this, which is my daily driver, which is the Apple Watch. Now, the Apple Watch Series 3 that I'm currently wearing gives me very similar sleep readings, or at least sleep detection timings when compared to the OnePlus Band, which I think is a very good reason for someone to consider the OnePlus Band for sleep tracking. But when it comes to sleep assessment and the assessment of how well you slept, the OnePlus Band certainly seems a little bit more fine-tuning in the algorithm, in how it understands how a person has slept. So the sensors are there, the technology is there, but the fine-tuning in the algorithm does still need to be done to make it just that little bit better. Apart from this, this also gives you a graph of your SpO2 levels because it can record it at intervals. And then it also has workout logs. Now, I've not worked out with this yet in recent times. I had reset the watch previously, so unfortunately I don't have access to those workout logs. But basically, it'll keep a track of all the workouts you've had and the workout history, how much you've worked out, how many calories you've burnt, and everything to do with that. In the fitness section on the OnePlus Health app, you can do things like start a run or start a walk. So things like that are quite helpful. And this app is how your OnePlus Band will get GPS data. So it needs the phone to stay connected to a GPS network so that it can actually get that GPS data and then run it through the app. You can also manage things like watch faces here through the app. Like I said, there are quite a few available. You can go to Discover and see how many different ones they have, including some that look very similar to what we've seen on OnePlus smartphones. Those are very familiar wallpapers. But essentially, at once, you can only have 5. That's why it says 5 out of 5. You can only have 5 loaded onto the watch. Now, that's something that might change with the next generation upgrade, but for now, that's all you get. You can also change and customize whether you want your own picture, one of your own pictures from your library to be the watch face. And apart from that, you can also set it to the world clock. So that was our in-depth hands-on review of the OnePlus Band in the black color. It costs 2,499 rupees, to remind you of the price, which is very, very aggressive, especially when compared to rivals like the Mi Band 5. It is exactly the same price as those, but I think this is for someone who's a OnePlus loyalist. This is for people who are buying into the OnePlus ecosystem, and this is a very affordable price to buy into that ecosystem and start building a OnePlus army of devices in your house. If you're one who really does like OnePlus and you think you need a fitness band, then this is definitely one that's worth going for. As always, if you enjoyed this video, do drop a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Drop a comment if you agree with some of the things I've said or disagree with them. Either way, we'd love to hear from you. Till then, see you next time.